So these are the two things which are very important: IP address and port number, right? These are the two things which are quite important if you need to have a communication between application and application. Application from one phone and an application from the other phone. So if you want to have a communication between two applications, you need to have IP address and port number, both of them at the same time, right? Now, let's think about now VNC that we just used currently, right? We just used the VNC that we are using, okay? And now we are using a VNC viewer. Now, as I told you, the desktop, this Windows that we are using, the Windows that we are using out here, correct? The Windows that we are using is going to, we are actually trying to get the Raspberry Pi screen on my Windows. That's what is happening. I'm trying to get my Raspberry Pi screen that is using VNC. I'm using VNC out here. If you remember, VNC viewer, I need to connect to the Raspberry Pi. So what is VNC basically? Now, if you remember, the Raspberry Pi has something, if you remember in the preferences, Raspberry Pi configuration, the minute you are connected in the start, I had told you enable your VNC. The minute, okay, so over here when you enable, can you see it's written there, enable remote access to this Pi using real VNC. What exactly is happening? Okay, what exactly is happening is VNC is a server. See, can you see over here this VNC is active on your Raspberry Pi? Okay, now what is VNC? VNC is nothing but a server which is running on your Raspberry Pi. VNC is a server which is running on your Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi screen can be seen using VNC. VNC server can show you the screen if you will request it. Now, who can request it? From my desktop, there is a VNC viewer. In this VNC viewer, it says, can you see it written here? Enter a VNC server address or search. So I know my address of the Raspberry Pi. What is the address of the Raspberry Pi? The address of the Raspberry Pi is obtained by writing ifconfig. Can you see what is the address of the Raspberry Pi? 192.168.3.100. This is the address that we have of the Raspberry Pi, correct? So in VNC, if say for example I switch off this Raspberry Pi completely, now I have just the VNC viewer, okay? Let me see, I remove, this is 3.100, right? So I just delete it completely. Yes, I delete the connection. Now I need to connect 192.168.3.100. I connect. So I want to connect to this particular server. It says, okay, what's the username? The username is Pi. What is the password? The password is Raspberry. The password is Raspberry. Of course, I'll remember the password. But can you see, along with 192.168.3.100, it is giving a colon and then it is saying a number. What is this? 5900. What number is this? This is a port number. VNC by default, VNC server by default is running on 5900. And who knows this? The VNC viewer which you are using, this application on the desktop. This guy knows that VNC runs on this particular port. So it appends the port number automatically without you putting that up. So let me say okay. The minute I say okay, it connects, the VNC server opens and you can see this particular screen. So VNC, again, that is a client. This one is a client which is running on a desktop. This one is a client and this one is a server. Are you able to understand? In a similar fashion, there is another client. If you remember, there is another client server example. If in preferences, if I go to Raspberry Pi configuration, okay, there is in the interfaces, you can see there is another server. There's another client which is enabled, that is called, the server which is enabled is SSH, Secure Shell. Okay.